Jim Whitehead of All Power Group, as you can see. Anyway, happy Sunday. Yes, this is a holiday weekend, so we hope you're spending all the time watching my videos. Not really, I understand that. You're just hopefully going to have some fun and be safe. Okay, today the topic is 10 animals in the world that unfortunately are very near extinction. And that is because we are seeing habitat loss, deforestation, urbanization, and agriculture expansion reduce the natural habitat of many species, leading to declines in their populations. The other is climate change. And I know it's one of those things where you're probably tired of hearing this, but one reason we're tired of hearing this is because it's not getting any better. And we have to try to do things that reduce the heat. Take my word for it. I'm in Southwest Florida, and this May was the hottest we've ever had. So, you know, you can see, unfortunately, since 2014, it's always warmer. And, you know, we don't want it to keep going and keep going. Now, the only thing I've seen is a demonstration project. The problem with the heating issue is, in essence, greenhouse gases. And again, this is not part of the direct discussion of these 10 animals, but they unfortunately are suffering from this. But they have a device that, in essence, it's like a vacuum cleaner. And it pulls the gases, CO2, et cetera, out of the atmosphere. Now, to get this where this is going to be consistent and maybe keep us neutral is the fact of having multiple of these devices around the world. But it's cost effective if we can do that. So climate change affects the habitats, food sources, and migration patterns, making it difficult for some species to survive. The next one is over-exploitation. You know, I'm not a hunter, and I only believe in hunting for food if you don't have food and you're going to starve. We get it. But just for sport and having fun, I've never really been very happy with that action. Okay, so, you know, this affects, you know, when they exploit them for fur, food, or other body parts, like tusks on some of our, you know, like rhinos. You know, they think that's a great thing to put up on your wall. Pollution, contaminants in the air, water, and soil can harm wildlife. For example, pollutants can disrupt reproductive systems or lead to diseases. Invasive species. This has happened all the time where animals that shouldn't be wherever we are, all of a sudden are there. And what they do is they compete, prey on, or bring diseases to native species, leading to declines or extinctions. Okay, limited range. You know, a lot of animals only can live in a very small area because that's what's right for them. But if the environment is getting screwed up, these areas are not either what they need, or it gets smaller and they unfortunately don't survive or continue on growing population. The other is low production, reproductive rate. A species with low birth rates or those that take a long time to reach productive maturity are less able to recover from population declines. Genetic factors. Small populations can suffer from inbreeding and reduced genetic diversity, which can lead to health problems and reduced adaptability to environmental changes. Also, natural disasters. One of them, and of course, unfortunately, being in Florida, South Florida, yes, I was over on the East Coast up until about 11 months ago, and I was a generator company. So I had to worry not only when a storm was approaching off the Atlantic, coming off of Africa, it would be where we would, I'd have to worry about all the generator customers I had. Because I can tell you, if generator didn't run when we lose power, they're gonna call me. So it's really, that's what happened. Now, the other thing that's funny, my wonderful partner here, her name is Myra. I call her 24. Almost every day, she says to me, we are gonna have a terrible hurricane season. Now, it doesn't mean every year they predict that. It doesn't mean they're wrong, but it's a very hard, it's like, can you fool Mother Nature? But you can't really necessarily say, I know, and when they say you're gonna have 10 major storms and this and this and this. I mean, really, it's only gauged on kind of limited facts. I don't wanna say only God knows what's really gonna happen. But, you know, hurricanes can destroy, and they've gotten stronger, bigger. You know, there's the old category listing, and we even are saying that we can have a category 5, but actually, technically, can even go above that. So they almost need to have to revise that and probably, unfortunately, do a category 6, which, you know, anything above a 4, I mean 4 or 5, even a high 3, yeah, we're gonna have problems. Human conflict, wars and civil unrest can lead to habitat destruction and increased hunting for food or profit. You know, we can't expect people to starve, so unfortunately, if there isn't a high population of these specific animals, they're gonna have a problem. Now, what they're doing is their efforts to conserve rare species often involve protecting habitats, regulating hunting and trade, combating climate change, and fostering breeding programs. I see, since nothing else is working real well, that probably breeding programs would be the best choices. Now, let's start talking about the individual animals and this again is 10 of the highest potential extinct animals at this point in time. The first one, what a cutie, is the vaquita. They're found in the Gulf of California, Mexico. You know, unfortunately, they're used for fishing, and because of that, this habitat degradation population is estimated fewer than 10 individuals are left. That is creepy, and such a wonderful, beautiful animal. I mean, how can you not love them, right? So that's where we're gonna go. We just gotta try. The next one is the Sumatran orangutan. I'm terrible sometimes at saying some of these animals, but they're in the Sumatra, Indonesia area. And again, you're gonna find a common theme as to why these animals are having problems. Deforestation, we have palm oil plantations in Sumatra, illegal pet trade. I mean, these are cool little animals or big animals, so, you know, but you gotta leave them alone. Anyway, so what we're finding is the orangutan is only about 14,000 strong, which is not a lot when you think of the whole world. Okay, the next one is the Javan rhino. And that's in a national park in Java, Indonesia. Again, here we go again. Habitat loss, poaching, natural disasters, population approximately only 72 individuals. And it's kind of interesting to call rhinos individuals, but I guess they are. I would like to just call them animals, but it's something that we just have to really work together. The other one, the next one is the armor leopard. Now, I do admit I have a fondness for leopards, panthers, tigers, etc., etc. Interestingly, over here, again, I'm Southwest Florida, we have a panther reserve that's a little east of me, and it's reserved for panthers, and I don't even think you're allowed to go in there because unfortunately we know damn well, I'm sorry, it's not everybody, but if they were able to go in there, people would go in and hunt these panthers and say, hey, look what I've got, up on my wall. I really get creeped out, by the way, when I watch a show or anything that you walk into a room and they've got all these animals up on the wall. I have a tendency, I'll be honest with you, one of my generator customers, I was a generator company, still am actually, but I was in his new home. We had put in 2 generators, and I had walked upstairs to check on something with lighting. I start to walk down, and I didn't see it going up because they were behind me, but I'm now walking down, and he's got all these heads up on the wall, and I'm talking multiple. Now, customers are customers, but bottom line, I immediately said, to myself, I don't like you. But I didn't tell him that, but I just don't even get that. Why would we be so excited to kill an animal that's defenseless in many ways, especially with what we have today? Some of the sniper long-range rifles, they're long range, and the poor animal never saw anything and had no opportunity to hide or run away because they don't even know you're there. So I guess the best solution is just don't do it. All right, so they're in Russia, Far East and northeastern China. Again, here we go again, habitat destruction, poaching, prey depletion. The population of this leopard is only about 100 in the wild. So that's not a lot of animals when you think of how large our world or Earth is. Okay, moving on. We're talking now about the hawksbill turtle. And this kind of surprised me, but they are tropical coral reefs of the Indian, Pacific, and Atlantic Oceans. Threats, unfortunately, the illegal trade of shells. Now, again, I wouldn't be excited to have a turtle shell on my cabinet. It just doesn't make any sense. They are experiencing loss of nesting and feeding habitats, accidental capture and fishing gear. That's another thing. And some of the fishing, I know we get into where dolphins, and they try to make it where there's a way for these animals to get out. But I mean, when you're out in the middle of the ocean and your job is to get animals, fish, and you pick up some of these that you don't want, do they keep them? Do they throw them back in? I don't know, but I hope they do. But that's obviously a problem. They're critically endangered with population numbers varying, but certainly something we have to worry about. The next animal is the Saola I guess you might say it looks like a deer. It's in the Annamite range of Vietnam and Laos. Threats, hunting, habitat loss again, and fragmentation, getting separated and having it where they can't reproduce real well. This is what really scares you, because there's an estimated fewer than 100 individuals, and they even, as another point, it's possibly even lower than that, and they say maybe even around the 20 range. So please, let's try to not do this, or support some of the organizations that do everything they can to pull in these animals and breed them in captivity, but get them ready so they can go back into the wild. Okay, the next one is the cross river gorilla. The habitat is Nigeria, Cameroon, border region threats, habitat destruction, here we go, hunting. I think gorillas are great. They're smart. They can learn sign language. They're good community members, you might say. But, they don't deserve to die. There's no reason why any of these animals should die. It doesn't hurt us. It doesn't have, anything that affects us in a negative way, and more in the sense that we lose these wonderful animals. There's only approximately 250 to 300 gorillas of that type still are here. Now, moving on, this is the Yangtze finless porpoise, certainly looking different than the normal porpoises. And the neatest thing about everything I do here, I love animals. And if you ever watch my channel, that it's not a niche that I was saying, I don't really care about animals, but it might be a good niche. No, it is because I love animals. My mother loved animals. So I guess loving animals is hereditary, which is good. That's a good thing to inherit or receive from your parents. They're in the Yangtze River in China. Threats, unfortunately, pollution, overfishing, and the degradation of their habitat. There are fewer than 100 of these porpoises left. Okay, the next animal, that is the northern white rhino, and this one you're going to find, unfortunately, probably the saddest of all of the 10. This is number 9, I'm pretty sure. But it's the northern white rhino, formerly found in several countries in the East and Central Africa. People like to poach them for their horns. Really? Would you feel much better to have a horn up on your wall? Okay, we also have habitat loss. And this is the saddest part, and I could almost say the animal that will go extinct of these 10 the fastest. There's only a projection of 2 females left. And, they're trying to work on advanced reproductive technologies to save the species. When you get into these animals where they might have one offspring a year, or whatever the numbers are, if people are killing them for, their horns and so on and so forth, there's no way that they can rebuild unless we rebuild with them. So hopefully, not that anybody's going to say, "Oh, I've listened to Jim White today. I'm gonna get involved to help save the northern white rhino," but it is pretty scary. And the last one and I hope I don't say this wrong, is the gharial, G-A-R-I-A-L, G-H-A-R-I-A-L, I'm sorry. It is very similar, looks like, crocodiles or alligators. They live in the river systems in India and Nepal. Again, we run into habitat destruction as a problem, fishing nets, depletion of fish resources. So they don't have what they need to live. Fewer than 1,000 of these gharial are left in the world. Now, conservation efforts for these species often involve habitat protection, anti-poaching measures, and that is probably one of the most across the whole 10. Don't poach. And I know it's hard, in certain areas, hunters go out and there's really no one around. So who's going to catch them doing this? It just is, and hopefully I'm an AI guy in the sense of feeling the benefits. And I know there's some potential scary things with AI, but hopefully they can use some of the tools within the AI structure to really help with these animals in the sense of reproduction, safety, and not taking away their living spaces. So the captive breeding programs, international corporation to address the various threats they face. So what I want to say is, some of this I know is not that interesting, but it's like with anything. If you know and learn these things, you can help, even if it's $1 a month, to help in the sense of helping animals. And unfortunately, I think there isn't enough publicity of conservation groups that work together to make some changes. The ASPCA, I'm a member of, but they're not involved in any of these 10 that are unfortunately getting very close to extinction. But anyway, this is Jim Whitehead of All Power Group. We have, by the way, our group has Miss Perfection. She's a cat that's a member of the community, or a member of our company. And also Jamie. Now Jamie, she's the boss. She's actually my boss. And then we have 24, my wife. And we were blessed. And I pray every night for every animal. And that's no exaggeration. I pray for other things, but we pray for every animal. And that's, when you say every animal, that's every animal. Whether it's from your dog to one of these 10, wherever they are. But anyway, thank you very, very much. Thank you for coming in on a Sunday, even though you don't have to work, and it's a holiday weekend. So, be safe. Do whatever you can to help. And thank you very much for being here. We all appreciate it. Take care. Be well.